apologies. But we're starting as per the last video. So those of you that are landing on this now, I am a psychic medium. I cover astrology. I do twin flame path, moon energy, and more. So if you like that sort of thing, please come through and subscribe. And welcome back to those of you who are joining. So shortly, yes, the notification should go through to you guys that I am in fact live. And I did promise to come to you guys and give you the update as to what psychically and astrologically I'm seeing coming up for everyone. So yes, I'm running late. I've been connecting with Mother Nature, trying to get bits and pieces done on the home front, and ran a little bit late. Anywho, how are we all doing in the house? So thank you those of you that joined us last night, and I did ask for comments, so I really appreciate that. And of course, Virgo was first up because it was a request. So I appreciate the comments, and so here I am, as per my promise. We are connecting in with the zodiac sign for Virgo. Now, what can I say? Number one, the last few months have been pretty tough, and we're sort of having a 101, as I mentioned, of what the energy is going to be. And this is really the paving steps for the next 20 years. No pressure, and it's not like that. So please don't think by any means you're ill-prepared. It will naturally, innately happen in your life. Sometimes, yes, we can have blockages, and we potentially aren't addressing those circumstances. And for you, Virgo, with the full moon, probably for the next 2 to 3 weeks, you can feel a bit funky. Try not to take it personal. Moon transits can be, it's a bit like a giraffe being born, and, it's not going to jump up right away. It needs a few moments to absorb what it is. Some of you may have handled it very well. Others of you may not have handled it so well. And yes, we have moved away from the full moon in Virgo, but at the same time, you can still be integrating that. You could really be looking at, how you're showing up in the world, your dress sense, how you see things, where you want to go in your life at a very personal nature. Now, you do have a lot of really great aspects coming up between now and the 13th, I would say. And that's due to the fact we do have sextiles occurring connected to Venus. Pisces is a very romantic connection, but we do need to be mindful of any sixth house placement. So, although we might be, to a degree, having some rose-colored glasses, it's okay to be in that vibration for a short space of time, because it does mean that our guards, to a degree, as we move towards the 13th, communication can clear up. So, if, for instance, and I'll read for couples, singles, and those of you in between. Number one, I will say for those of you that are single, I feel you're really regressing over old ground, looking at where you want to be, what that means for you. And there can be, you could be doing some shadow energy, because sixth house is the house of hidden enemies. And we do have sort of accesses made to Chiron this month, which does mean that we can be sometimes accidentally taking things personal, and sleep to a degree could be a little bit of an issue. Reduce the caffeine intake this month, guys, and it's due to the fact that we're having both the axis of Mars transiting into the zodiac sign Gemini. That's between the 4th and the 5th. You'll get that whole alchemization of that frequency. And with that transitional state, we did have a lot from a 3D nature where we might have been looking at self-worth energy, self-esteem, our health, luxuries, money, and things to that degree. But also from a very personal level, Taurus was falling in your 9th house. So really it would have been, okay, with your money, with your self-worth, with your growth, with different cultures and things to that degree, how you were viewing those perspectives and absorbing it. And, that domain for you might have been quite unsettling, even wondering how you're going to move forward. Some of you may have actually been, really thinking about your belief systems, maybe wanting to move, maybe wanting to communicate with somebody from far. But again, it can be very spiritual in nature. And I feel for a lot of you, you may have really been taking it, not so much taking it personal, but keeping it very private. Hi, MM. So that private energy is, you're doing it very adult, so to speak. It doesn't mean inside yourself that you're feeling very comfortable with it. It might feel very frightening and very uncomfortable, like, oh, heck, where am I going in life? You'll find as the week progresses and we do move towards the 13th with the new moon in Pisces. I really feel in this week you'll be thinking, compartmentalizing, maybe even with individuals as per se communicating, and people may be frustrating you, okay? So, and the reason I say that is because you do have an analytical mind, and it's almost like we're having an overdose of Mercury, because when you look at it, we have the North Node in Gemini. So that's Mercury as per se. Then we have Virgo, which is Mercury in nature. So, if you're getting like headaches, chunky throat, sinuses going, from an astrological point of view alone, yes, that fogginess can come through. And it's almost like an overload of information that we do. It's really important to look after ourselves this month and actually take a step back. And really pretty much until next year, my highest advice for all zodiac signs would be, due to the fact that Gemini's there and it's the North Node and we're sort of, gaining information, having to be a jack of all trades, we can get sidetracked. Now, during the retrograde for you guys, the main area that was coming up was a massive level up, and you may want to change your health, your work environment, the way you're showing up in those domains, creating healthy boundaries with individuals, getting life in order, so to speak. It can be the house of hidden enemies, but again, that can be on our side or another person's side, but it's almost like this push-pull energy. And during that retrograde, a lot of those domains really potentially were showing you, okay, self-care, not burning yourself out, actually needing a spiritual energy. And when I say spiritual energy, it doesn't have to be going into yoga. We all individually have our own viewpoint as what that's going to be. It could be merely sitting on the couch and not doing anything. You guys would be the best interior designers. Your house would be clean. There's perfectionist energy that comes through with that. But due to circumstances external to you, you might have found that very hard to do. And some of your hopes and dreams may have gone on the back burner due to external situations. But I do see that you may have internalized it and it's coming through in a pain body experience. But as we go direct, you'll find that sixth house, the pressure will come off it. So pay attention to some of those circumstances of what you learnt in the last 2.5 months, where you found the adversity, be it was in your career, in your love life, to do with individuals that you were mixing with. Some of you may not have really wanted to mix with anyone. And again, with the 9th house, because you have Saturn and Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus, the 9th house can very much be connected to siblings. So it may be if you've got children, rivalry. It might be in families. It may be value systems differing. So however it's playing out, we did have a lot of very hard-hitting energy relating to Aquarius. Yes, we've moved into much, and the residue of that's coming through, because as I said, we've got the North Node in Gemini, which is thought. It's our daily routine. It's our speech. It's the BS we deal with other people, and it's how we vibrationally feel. Uranus and Taurus, it's our nervous system. So if we're burning the candle at both ends, yes, it's going to show up. And I really feel in the first 2 weeks of March, for everyone collectively, and especially you, Virgo, it's the need to get balanced so that, it's almost being mindful when we're eating. Mindfulness, eating what our body's needing at that time. Not necessarily, how do I put it? It's like some days, like Giggle and I talk, it's like you're really needing light food. Your body's really not, wanting much. And it's just go with the vibe of what your body's asking for, and really have a look at that. I would say, let's have a look. Now, it is a little bit for you guys at the moment, and it's quite funny because whenever we have the activation of a Venus house, it can feel like a Venus retrograde. Now, for Leos, for instance, Aquarius was hitting their 7th house, so for them individually, they were feeling a little bit icky due to the fact there was Mercury retrograde. So although we're in shadow, there could be a slight energy in the initial stage that you may misinterpret things, maybe be inclined to be a little bit ratty, because we do still have Mercury in shadow, but it's not directly in that house, so it should ease up. You do have beautiful aspects, but it's almost like if you are dealing with contracts and you're dealing with partnerships, It's almost like whose role is what. Try not to overburden yourself with circumstances. And that's especially in 2021 and beyond. At the moment, more so in the next 6 months. And the reason I say that is, Saturn is the Lord of restriction. It's responsibilities. It's the way you have to show up in the circumstances that you're actually investing in. That can be a relationship, that can be your career sector, your health. So it's the commitment that we're going to have, and it's almost like lock it in, And with that lock it in, if you can't see it being viable, it will become a burden, because Jupiter can make you quite rebellious, and it's for all of us collectively. So in one breath, we're needing to expand, and the other breath, it can hold us back. So be careful about not biting off too much more than you can chew. A lot of us can potentially be, looking at romance, looking at career, looking at monetary related dynamics, wanting to have a little bit more socialization, especially because we do have the North Node in Gemini, and we do have very heavy Mercury energy. As I said, Mercury in shadow at the moment in the house of Aquarius, which is wide group energy. So for you, it falls in your 6th house. So be careful of the burdens that get laid on you. It's like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do that. And burning the candle at both ends. It can be your work. It can be your health. So really pay attention to your health. Work is not above your health. We must look after self before we can help others. So, keep that in mind, as long as it's not coming from an egoistic experience. The other dynamic that you can find is, because of the fact that we have the nodes there again, so we've got Mercury in shadow till the 13th, we've got North Node in Gemini, and we also had, what was it? And, the Virgo energy, which was the full moon in Virgo. So it's Mercury, Mercury, Mercury. So yes, technology can be playing up a little bit at the moment. There can be cross wires. We can feel a little bit foggy, and we are going to be drawn to, hi Eddie, more miscommunication and misunderstanding. So if all of you collectively, as well as Virgo, are feeling as though you don't want any dramas, and you're trying to problem solve, and the mind's going at 100 miles an hour, I would highly suggest, especially in the next year and a half, because we have the North Node in Gemini, you're going to get sidetracked. Grab a piece of paper in your day, be it your week, if you've got a schedule, write down what you need to achieve. Don't overburden yourself, so you can keep aware of what you need to do. You may need to set targets. So when I say you may need to set targets, it's almost like if you have commitments, very Saturn in orientation, and that can be with the 6th house for you individually. 6th house is work, your work environment, your habits, your routine, your health, being organized, but don't become OCD. And when I say that, it's like, if you're able to hand something over, do such, because it will be to the detriment of your health. I always promote, especially with my coaching, because you guys are the art of perfection. And sometimes it can become deeply frustrating when we see that, it becomes more time consuming if you're working with pairs, if you're working with groups, and they're not doing something correctly, and you know how to do it, you do tend to overtake. And when I mean overtake, it kind of gets dumped on you, and you're like, heck, okay, I've got to fix it. So I would highly recommend that. It's almost like if you were working in a group-orientated activity, train one individual to the T. Arduous as it may be, then step back and tune out and let them train a new individual. Even if you have to swap that, go to another individual, and then it's got that flow-on effect, and it's not going to become a permanent burden. Some of you are wanting to change some circumstances. It might be you're looking at your business. So I'll talk about work. Let's have a chat about work. Number one, you can have these really great ideas at the moment, and I do feel some of you may want to implement it. Between now and the 13th, you can have a lot more movement. So, for instance, if you were networking, communicating, sending resumes out, you're going to find, yes, you could land your dream job. But, really, really still, we're in shadow. Be careful of the information. Other things can come at left field, which doesn't have to be nasty. But what you learned during the retrograde, even if you are, for instance, running a business, you may find unique ways in which that you can change that circumstance. Others of you, let's have a look at your 4th house. Okay, something to do with your home may be changing as well. You know, if, for instance, you're running a home-based business, you may need to change the environment. It may be it was a home at one stage, now it's turned into a business, and now you've got to find that mutual ground where you can have the both going on. But yes, there can be, due to growth, something in that has to change, be it it's the accommodation, or be it it's directly the way you're operating the situation inside it. The other frequency is there can be situations happening that, let's have a look. Really look at your paperwork, and I'd say more towards, you know, mid-month, I would say look at your paperwork. And definitely to do with the trajectory and the bigger picture. You might move into fair-based frequency, but again, challenge that, because I do feel through that retrograde, you're going to have some very creative ideas, and it's a really good time to utilize all that drama that you had and direct it into solution-orientated situations. If you don't have a solution right away, I would say, and it's funny because I feel it to get very, very busy for you this month, Virgo. It's almost like I'm seeing some sense of stagnation, and it's like you have a plan. Whatever this plan is that you're wanting to implement, I feel it's wise, and I feel you've thought about it quite a bit. It may take longer than you think, but in the bigger picture of things, it's going to create balance, and it's about just writing it down, getting the devil in the detail down, and actually starting to implement some of those changes. Again, I do see you guys to be very private in nature, where, you know, you're opening up more and you're sharing it with the people directly involved that you feel comfortable with. Some of you are a bit worried about a person. If you're working in a group environment, some of you are a bit wary about an individual, and you're looking at the viability of where you are and how far it's going to go. And I feel you watching this individual. I'm also seeing that there could also be contact with other people that previously you worked with, or in a like-minded field. There can be some sense of a negotiation going on. And again, it's almost like, for those of you who this is relevant, I feel almost like this is quite a big venture. There's a big plan that you're making. Now, this is either, it can be two things. It can either be in a relationship and a joint venture, or it's both. It could be work and that. I actually see you very tired though. So you're looking at it and you know you've got the backbone. You know you can actually do this. And I always feel you guys are more Saturn and orientated energy than Mercury. Yes, from an analytical point of view, but from a responsibility sense, I do feel you can really go the mile. But you're wanting to shift something up. Now, as for romance, there can be people from the past at the moment that are coming through in your mind's eye. I also see for some of you, you may have communication. This can be whether you're single or coupled. And it doesn't mean to say that this conversation necessarily is romantic, but for some of you, yes, most definitely it is. And that can be either on your side or their side. You're kind of sifting through things. Maybe you're talking about what happened. It may be negotiating terms to do with the scenario. But it can be quite unexpected. I do feel that you feel quite comfortable with speaking about it, but I feel this is more towards mid-month. This can be a potential. Some of you have already had this discussion, and, you know, it's playing over in your mind's eye. Some of you merely have just been thinking about relationships, point blank zero, the experiences you had in the past, and where you really want to be in the next year. But it's big plans. You know, these things that are going to come up this month are large. Some of you, I see checkups, and it can be checkups relating to health and, how can I say it? You know, something that just feels a little bit off. I'm seeing almost bruising. Funny enough, I actually got a oil burn last night. Yeah, I'm seeing something to do with bruises, you know, occurring in, or something to that degree, but it feels like a checkup for some reason. Okay, those of you with children, let's have a look here. Yes, it is. Okay, you're going to find you're going to be hot in demand this month, and it may not be that you directly want to, but I also feel you're wanting to get more into a happier vibe. You're trying to shift things about. It's almost like you may have had an extended point where there was no communication with individuals, and it's almost like you're looking at that as to the detriment to your health. So it's sort of like, at times we can feel we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't, but now I feel by mid-month, you're really going to want to shake things up and, get to a point where you're having more fun. You're looking at old things that you used to do and wanting to have that back in your life. So whatever has been blocking you from doing that, I feel you may be tackling that head on. Now, this could be emotions, this could be conflict that you've had with individuals, it may be health, and it may just be circumstances that life has got on top of you and, we've got into that kind of momentum. I do see, though, you are going to have to be careful with self-management with time frames, but that's only because, with the North Node in Gemini hitting your 10th house, it can really benefit you if you're working in a line of communication. If there has been blockages and things not coming through for you and finances being blocked, you'll probably find that this is really going to move forward, especially for those of you, if you are unemployed, there can be a creative way that you can think of how to generate an income. Okay. Now, number one, the way you earn money, the way you get money, somebody may owe you money. There also, for some of you, if there was a court case, pending and you were moving through it, it was maybe a contract. I do feel by the full moon in Libra, this could be added money, but it could be something that's really tying up. And if there's paperwork relating to it and you need to directly, get that sorted, you're really advised to do that between now and the full moon in Libra. But you're going to find you're going to be able to get more balance, more equilibrium. But it's something you're shifting in order to do that. And it's your direct actions for some of you. So it can be two things. One, it can be a court case. Very separately, I'm being shown it's a circumstance at work. It could be a change of job, or suddenly, that money now is alleviated and there's more money coming towards you and you're actually making up for that lost time. Mercury retrograde was really knocking a lot of people for six. Maybe there was a lot of, anxiety or expenses. But as we move forward and Mars moves out of Taurus and into Gemini, your career sector's really lit up. So anything you touch will turn to gold, but you've got to have that follow through. So make sure you look after your health so that you can get the best of that circumstance. And I'm really finding that your thoughts and your communication and your action you take is all going to pay off in dividends. Okay. There could be a lot of responsibilities that had maybe for those of you that have children or have a creative project. Maybe there's been a lot more responsibility and it's almost like you're chasing your tail to complete things. Those of you that have children and new cycles happening, and it's almost like no sooner does something come up, it's changing and evolving. And I do feel, really keep an eye on Pluto this year, guys, because it's really falling in your 5th house. You also, for those of you that have pets, keep an eye on their health at the moment. Some of you may be getting a pet. Some of you are concerned about their health as well. And look, it can be on a spiritual level and a psychic level that we directly have communication from loved ones on the other side at the moment. But definitely pay attention to pet health. What else am I saying? I do feel between, and it's funny because I'm really pushing forward here, the steps you're taking now are going to make the world a difference by April. And, like I said, you guys can really gain quite big. This can even be relating to home. If you've got any home-related dynamics, you're doing renovations or you're wanting to purchase a home, you may find between now and then it could be something really changes in that domain. Also, some of you may hear of a pregnancy. But I am seeing that your ability to generate extra cash comes down to this month. What you're going to do with those circumstances, how you're going to shift it about. And then I do feel by April, that's really moving forward. But it's going to be really important for you to actually tune into what those changes are going to be, looking at the bigger picture, very Jupiter in orientation, if you have the ability to. And, you know, do the steps that are within your means. The rest will follow through. You know, don't get to a point you're thinking, oh, but I don't know, like in 3 months, will I have the money to do X, Y, and Z? Trust the process, because every step it's actually closer, and you deal with that circumstance as you get closer. Obviously, if it looks like 0 and it's not going to work, you know what to do in that instant, and it would have been something you were tuning into regardless. Now, as for love, I do feel you need to trust. Now, it can be a little bit awkward initially. I do feel there is an ability to have a very, very deep connection here. And from a manifestation point, if you're single, the shadow work that you're doing and the upgrade inside your life, you'll find something's shifting in you this month where your self-esteem will boost, and especially by you facing shadow energy. The full moon in Libra also may be self-esteem based, but it's a need to get balanced. Sometimes when we're really tired, we look at ourselves in an incorrect way. I'm really seeing that if you can look at it from a different perspective, ease yourself into it, be it it's the way you're showing up, be it's how you were actually, you know, thinking about yourself. Sometimes it's a little bit like a plant, and I always use plants as analogies, which is quite ironic. I was thinking about the bonsai analogy that I was talking about the other day, and I mean, I think bonsais are beautiful. It was merely an analogy. You do grow, so you've got to get that it's a natural process that does come. But I'm seeing beauty regimes for those of you that are feminines, needing to rest, you know, really, really looking after yourself. And I do see that circumstance coming through. I do feel some of you may be having a little bit of psychic attacks for those of you that are more spiritual inclined. And you may be having loved ones again coming through in your dream state. This is a very highly active month of psychic energy, psychic attacks, and caution with health. So pay attention to pacifiers to cope with energies that are a bit malefic. And if you need help with that, feel free to come through and I can do a reading for you. All the information's below. Any questions in the house? I'm hoping that's helped. Any worries I see in here for you? Let's have a look. Challenges with your wounds, but move beyond them. Trust the process. Move beyond them. You might have even found, you know, with the Leo moon that we had back, I think it was towards the end of January, moving into February, it might have really knocked you for 6. And with Mercury being there, you know, tying up loose ends, you're going to be able to achieve those things, especially relating to family, your contracts, and anything relating to children. It's a change in approach, how you're going to do things. At some point, I may do astrology. For those of you that are parents, you know, if you want to look at the astrological aspects and what can be coming up for them, I may do mini reads relating to that at some point. Any questions while I'm here? The next one. Any questions? Oh, has the feed died? It's getting so humid. We've got such humidity here in WA. Strange. That is that. Any questions? I've got people messaging me again. Feed is good. Okay, we're all quiet in the house, are we? We got Hermit Mode 99 at the moment. Okay, so we have a choice between, we'll do the earth signs first. Yeah, it will do. You know, a lot of you are going to have solutions by the new moon in Pisces. It can be triggersome on that day, I won't lie, because I do believe there's a conjunction, but I'll do an energy update. I'll just check the chart here. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a conjunction on the new moon. So it's going to be on the 13th. It's at 23 degrees, which is the critical degree. You can this month use tourmaline and amethyst. I'd also use like blue topaz or something like that for the throat chakra and the, you know, third eye. Drink smoothies relating to that, either, you know, the purple or the blue, because of the frequency, and also Venus. You know, if your ovaries are feeling funky and things like that, it's co-creative energy. Balance that. You know, always pay attention to your pain body experiences. If it's fear and anxiety, go down to the lower chakras. If it's nervous system, again, go into your crown chakra, drink fluid, rest, recoup, and you can do a guided meditation and eat food groups, you know, to promote your nervous system. Let's have a look at the 13th. Okay, oh, that's it. So on the 14th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Neptune. Venus enters, Venus will be in Pisces. That is your 7th house. And it's also making, so it's going to ask you, with your marriages, contracts, partnerships, Virgo, you know, where are you on a point and where are you having this fallacy of what something is? And so, you know, it doesn't mean to say it has to be something terrible, but it's going to bring it to light for a viewpoint for you to see something quite differently. And, you know, set your intentions as to what you want to do moving forward. But I feel really, even of the new moon, allow it to sink in. I know we tend to go into a manifestation, but because we have this energy of Mercury in shadow till that point, you know, it's a bit like you can't have one without the other. It's sort of like a, you know, a new beginning does mean an ending, but it can be a way of thinking. It can be a way of seeing something. Making that conjunction point, there can be a bit of nervous energy within the Venus house, especially relating to your hopes and dreams, but it can actually bring something well full circle. You can get the higher and the lower octane. So it's either going to make it look completely like we were delusional, or like we're on a bit of a LSD, or it's going to be deeply romantic and it can be something really coming together. And I think for 90% of you, I do think it's something coming up really, really good. So I'm going to love you and leave you. If you do want a personal psychic booking, you can go to the link below. I will come back. We have a choice between Taurus and Capricorn next. Who's in the house for Taurus and Capricorn? We're going to try and plod through as many of these. I'm going to do them as many as I can. Taurus. Okay, Taurus is up next. I'll be back in about 10. I'll be back, Yarn. If I can hang up.